Can you tell us about and you know most of these questions already because I sent them to you, but
Yes, thank you.
you're welcome. Can you tell us about your transition from punk bands to singer-songwriter, your singer-songwriter acoustic project, Funeral at Sea, and what inspired
Sure.
you to switch directions?
Yeah. So, I'm actually still playing in a punk band. I play in a band called Small Steps. We just had an album drop in November. But so it's still a part of me, very much so. But I've actually been doing acoustic stuff now probably for, I don't know, since probably like 2013 or so.
Oh, wow.
But it's been very, I don't know, just kept to myself. I did release an album under a different name, like a now defunct label, put out a CD of it and stuff like that. And then after that came out, I played a little bit on that, and then I just kind of got away from it. Life, happens and gets in the way and things like that. But I actually have an acoustic hanging up in my living room, so that way I grab it whenever I need it. So just writing songs and being able to, like, well, so-and-so can't make it to band practice or something like that. I always have an outlet for music. So it's always kind of been real inner like work as far as like using my acoustic and being able to do that. So when I decided to kind of rebrand and do it as Funeral at Sea, I was like, you know what, just need to get over it and just like let this come out to the world, because people would listen to it and be like, hey, that's really good, you should do it out. And I'm like, I don't know, man, nobody wants to hear my struggles and stuff, so it's just one of those things where I was just like, all right, I need to do this. And so, and like I said, it's still obviously kind of influences the punk music, kind of influences what I've got going on, but it's also, it's good to have kind of a separation and being able to, because the punk songs are a little more fun and energetic, and this is more of an outlet for my I guess you could say inner struggles, or just stuff weighing me down and stuff. So
why the name Funeral at Sea?
So actually it kind of came up, I randomly got the band name actually probably like 15 years ago or something like that. And me and a few friends tried to start like an indie rock style band under that name, and I think we played like one show, and then just kind of the drummer moved away, and stuff just happened, and we didn't really get to play out very much. And it's always been just sitting there, because we didn't release anything. Like I said, we played one show, and so I'm like, you know what, I really love that name. It just kind of came about, because we knew people in the Navy, and how they have like the burial at sea, and then it just kind of stemmed from that. So,
oh, that's awesome. So your songs as Funeral at Sea are described as heartfelt and filled with pure emotion. Can you share insight into your songwriting process for Funeral at Sea versus the punk band whose name I forgot?
Small Steps. So when it comes to being heartfelt and emotional and things like that, kind of like what I was saying before, where this to me is, I'm having a rough day, I'm going to pick up my acoustic, sit down, and kind of write some songs. This is going to make me sound like a talk show, like where, the results are in, you are not the father. But like, I've been through like 2 divorces, so this music's actually got me through that, and just been able to have that outlet and write these songs. So the reason that I get coined as like emotional and things like that is because a lot of the lyrics are pretty down, so to speak, and like dealing with hard times and stuff. And that's one thing that I personally love about acoustic and like singer-songwriter stuff. And one of the reasons why it was so hard for me to just like rip off the Band-Aid and start performing live was because it is so emotional to me, because it is so like, these are like songs about my life. Like, I don't know if I want to tell you about this, like, cause I kind of look either like, because I mean, I admit faults in songs, hey, I messed up, this is me, or, hey, I'm struggling with depression, this is me. And it's just real raw and open and transparent. And so I think that's why I just kind of lay it out on the line. So that's why it gets coined, things of that nature. So,
but I also think, as you said earlier, when your friends were listening to it and like, you got to put it out. It resonates because everybody goes through it. And it's nice to know that, you know what, they feel that way too. I'm not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and funny you say that because I just played a show a couple weeks ago here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I'm from. And one of my buddies came out and he hadn't been able to he'd like listen to it, but, just seeing it live is a little bit different too, because to be honest, a lot of times I don't even open my eyes when I'm playing just because it's like so introspective, but I definitely like get into it because I'm from the punk hardcore scene. So like, there's emotion coming out while I'm playing. But he after the show, he was like, thank you so much. Like I was over here crying and just like dealing with my own stuff. And I don't have any songs about like issues with me and my father or anything, but that's what he was dealing with. And he was like, now I got to go call him and work through this. And, so to me, I was just like, all right, you're in the right place at the right time. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and like you said, connecting with people on that level. And, we're all dealing with stuff. So yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And it's good for you to know that you're not alone either.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
So how do you merge your punk roots and the folk acoustic music into your songwriting? Sure. Like when you were like, are there any artists in the acoustic singer-songwriter that influence you
Yeah. Honestly, I think a big one, and it's even from years ago when he first got started, but it's like Dashboard Confessional, because he came from punk, he came from punk roots, and just same thing, just real raw and emotion. Of course, he's done very well for himself now and, tours quite a bit. And, some bands like that. And there's another acoustic folk artist called the New Amsterdams, which the lead singer from that band was in the Get Up Kids, so another punk band. Yeah. And so there's actually been several, Alkaline Trio. They've had acoustic albums, and I think that's the thing is the acoustic singer-songwriter thing isn't necessarily folk and then here's punk. Punk's more of like a mindset. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm just going to play this, but I'm just going to be open and honest and raw and not give a flip. Like that's kind of like and that's kind of what I go for, it's like, just let it out.
Yeah. Well, it was like Dashboard Confessional. I remember when they came out into the scene. I was just like, hey, who hurt you?
Yeah.
I felt like that album was just like one sad song after another.
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny you say that because I've like told my friends, they're like, hey, we're going to come out and see you play. I'm like, okay, book a therapy appointment afterwards. Okay. You're going to need it. So, and everything will be okay. I promise.
You're like, just need a bit. It's fine.
Yeah. Deep breaths.
How has your Kentucky upbringing influenced your music, particularly in terms of both genres?
Sure. So really, of course, as you know, like Kentucky's really known for bluegrass and Appalachia and, just real, earthy sounds just because, a lot of them coal mining and things like that. They didn't have a lot of money growing up in poverty. And so, of course, they had very bare bones acoustic, banjo, maybe a fiddle, and just even their songs are uplifting, but they do have like a sense of like downtroddenness in them, even depending on which artist you're listening to, of course. But I think that's just inadvertently interjected into my music just because it's like they knew struggle, and just being kind of, just kind of raw and open to, just kind of a down home, and as far as lyric wise, it's kind of, I think the people from, I guess you could even say the people that probably invented bluegrass music, they're writing the same stuff that I'm writing, lyric wise. They dealt with pain and heartache and all that stuff. It just was at a different time period. Everybody's dealt with this, you can look at the Stoics from, all of those people, Seneca and stuff, they talk about pain and heartache and not letting it impact you, so it's nothing new, but.
What can you tell us about your debut album, Curse of the Commonwealth, and do you have a release date yet?
Yes. So the one thing that, we keep talking about how open and raw and just like, I guess, transparent, my music is. That's one thing that I really set out to do when I went to record the album. So when I met with the producer, I'm like, I gave him a couple of albums of acoustic people. I'm like, kind of like the tone like this, but I really want to make sure that if somebody's listening to this and they close their eyes, that they're like, they feel like I'm just sitting in the room with them playing. Like I want it to be really, I don't need a lot of reverb. I don't need to be photoshopped in the studio to like change, auto tune and all this stuff. I want it to be real. I want it to be, because, even talking about, like the Appalachian music and even old school blues, like that's one of my things that really influences me in this style of music in regards to like, you can hear them tapping their foot on the recording, just real, just like this guy's just sitting here playing, like, I mean, you can, you can just put yourself in there, and that's really what I set out to do. So, and I think we accomplished that. I really do. I'm really excited for everybody to hear the full album. It's got 9 tracks on it. It does have technically 10, but the first one's kind of an intro to kind of set the tone and the mood for the album. And as far as release dates, it's actually at the pressing plant right now. So I think it's slated to be in our hands by the first week of May. So, a record label called Transcendental Revolution out of Kentucky here is actually releasing it. So, they do only like Kentucky artists and stuff, so it's pretty cool. But anyway, I think we may try to drop one more single just to kind of keep the hype train going, maybe in the next couple of weeks or so. And then we're hoping, maybe no later than maybe May 10th or something, it'll be on all streaming platforms and available. So
nice. I'm excited. Why the name Curse of the Commonwealth?
So it just kind of, that's one of the things is with Kentucky, and I haven't lived here my whole life. I've lived here, it's quite a while. I'm Kentuckian now. I've been adopted. I'm like, I'm part of the culture now because I've been here so long. But it's kind of one of those things where you see people get stuck in a rut, because even though we have bigger cities like Louisville and Lexington, they're really actually pretty small cities comparatively to other, with even like a 3-hour radius from us. So I think a lot of people get stuck in the rut of, this is where I have to live, this is where I have to be. They don't go out and explore and open their mind to new things. They don't, just even try to search out for themselves or explore the world or other people's views. And I really feel like that's one thing that is no bueno, I guess, for Kentucky. But, that's just kind of, that was something that was weighing on me, is like, man, I just really wish that, some people would open their eyes to other things, or not really be closed-minded to certain people's lifestyles or ideals, or, anything like that. So that's kind of where the name comes from.
I like it. I grew up in a small town, and it had like two red lights, and then as I got older, it got down to one red light. And when I moved to Australia, everybody was just like, Australia's very far away, and I was like, yes, that was on purpose.
Yeah. Well, and I'm getting ready to go to, so where I went to high school was an even smaller town in Ohio, and like 50,000 people. And everybody's like, it's a big town. I'm like, not exactly. But I'm getting ready to go to my 25th high school anniversary, and graduation anniversary. And I think me and one other person are the only people that have moved away from there.
When I did mine, it was the same. It was just one of those. And they stayed in the small town. They didn't go far, maybe to the next town over, and like started having kids, and I was like, whoa. They're like, are you married? Do you have kids? I was like, no, thank God. Like this one girl I graduated with, she had a hockey team, and I was just like, that's a lot of kids. Yeah. You're
gonna need like a sprinter to run around with everybody,
Yeah. What emotions are arising with the release date nearing?
You say promotions?
No, emotions. Like, are you excited?
Oh, emotions. So like I said, I'm pretty excited about it, because some of these songs I have like recorded at home and released just on streaming platforms and stuff like that. But, it's self-produced and just wasn't as good quality as what you hope. But I wanted to, like I said, I was just trying to push myself to get things out there. Some of these songs have never been heard or have only been available on SoundCloud because that was kind of my dumping ground for stuff. And of course nobody ever checks it. So it's 98% of the people have probably never heard some of the songs. So I'm really excited about them to hear it and to learn the lyrics. And like I said, I dropped Never Enough was a new single that I dropped a few weeks back. We dropped a music video for it too. And like the last show I played, people are like, when I was like looking around and some people are singing it, and I'm like, all right, okay, So that was encouraging, that people are getting down on the new single. So
that's awesome. What song or songs are you most excited for fans to hear?
Probably one of my most excited ones I think that everybody's going to like, and it's probably like my slowest one, but it's called Failure is a Part of Life. That's the name of the song, and that's one of the ones that hadn't been released yet. So I'm pretty excited about it getting out there because, of course, the perception, like we've been talking about, is that everything's like so negative with me, and like, despite this demeanor, the songs are really down. And that song, like, I really tried to put the positive spin on it, because essentially the chorus is like, failure is a part of life. If you don't fail, then you won't learn. If you won't learn, then you'll never grow into who you're supposed to be, So, I mean, it's kind of trying to even try to change my mindset somewhat on writing as I progress, just because, like I said, it's predominantly been an outlet for, I got to get this stuff off my chest. It's like journaling, but musically. So,
Well, that's what I noticed. It's just like, it's instead of ripped from the headlines, it's ripped from the journal pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, and it's very heartfelt and it's very emotional. And there was one, at one point I was like, this sounds like, you remind me of the lead singer of Story of the Year, but just on acoustic. And I'm like, it's just that quiet tone, and I was just like, it's just soothing, Like,
well, thank you.
Like it was, like, how you said you wanted to be sitting in the room. It felt like you were just sitting on the opposite end of the couch, just, playing along.
Good.
Like,
yay, mission accomplished.
Yeah, it's an intimate album. That's what I meant to say. Like, it's intimate.
Yes.
Were there any challenges during the recording process for the album?
Yes, honestly, the most difficult thing for me, being a musician, you have a tendency to have grandiose ideas at times of like, oh my gosh, I could add this, I could do this. And I had to remind myself multiple times going in, remember, I want this to be bare bones. I don't want anything on there. So don't get it out of your head before you go in, and don't let anybody try to convince you otherwise. I didn't want the producer to be like, oh, we should add this here. So there's actually only 2 songs that have other instrumentation on them. Like one has a shaker and one has a tambourine. And other than that, it's just one take of the guitar and one take of the vocals. That's it. I don't even like harmonize or nothing. I didn't even add another layer. I just wanted it to be, like I said, I just want to be sitting in the room with you, and playing. So, and I think, like I said, I think we accomplished that by trying to not overproduce it and trying not to add so many layers where it can't even be recreated live,
That was going to be my next question, because I've heard songs where I'm like, how are they going to play this live? They're a 3-piece band, but it sounds like there's 20 pieces.
Yeah.
But at least for you, like, are you going to have somebody with you, like maybe a drummer, or is it just going to be you and a guitar when you play it live?
Right now, I think it's just going to be me and a guitar. Now, I've tried to add some, because of course, the name of the game is to try to separate yourself from everybody else.
Yeah.
So we had an acoustic night recently here that I kind of curated and had some other artists. And, one thing to me is like everybody just stands there and just plays. And, I don't do that. I can't stand still. But I also want something else to people to look at and engage at and for them to memorize. So I started burning incense. I've got a trunk that's next to me that's got Funeral at Sea written on it, and I got a candle burning. Yeah. I just want it to be like a presence and an aura that sticks with people. And, everybody's like, man, that incense smelled good. I'm like, well, what about the songs? And they're like, yeah, those too, like, all right. just full circle here. I just want to bring you back to the music, you know?
Did it pull away from the music or did it help the music?
Yeah, exactly. And they said it helped because they were like, man, it just like, they were like, it was a vibe, you know, like it was just kind of like you just entered some sort of meditation room and you lit this incense and you're just trying to work out your stuff and we just happen to be there, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. Because I know I've seen acoustic, you know, singer-songwriters, and like you said, it's just that one person. And I sometimes wonder, I'm like, do they have that moment of where they're like, all eyes are on me, I'm uncomfortable, which I know you guys choose to be on stage.
Oh, I do.
You know, but I'm like, so like, do I stare at something behind them to kind of like give them a break from feeling that way?
Yeah. Well, and that's why a lot of times, like, because like I said, you know, a lot of these songs are like really personal. Yeah. So about 2 or 3 months ago, maybe, no, it's a little bit longer than that. I can't remember exactly, maybe 6 months or so ago, I went and played like the first show out with Funeral at Sea. And oh my God, I was so nervous because I'm like, they're going to hate it. You know, they're going to think, God, what is wrong with this guy? Like, we need to put him on suicide watch, you know, like what is going on with him? And so I literally just like closed my eyes. Luckily, it's a club, you know, so it's like nobody can see if my eyes are open or not. And I'm just like going to town. Then I look and everybody's like vibing, you know, so I'm like, okay, still here. All right, I'm just gonna keep my eyes closed, you know. But, you know, so to me, it's funny because I do still get nervous when it's just me up there. Now, full band, you know, punk band or any other band I've ever been in, I got somebody up there with me. It's, you know, just go like no nerves whatsoever. It's fun. But again, I think it just goes back to how transparent and open I'm like bearing my all in front of people, you know? So I think that's what makes me nervous about it, is just that people may know the real me.
Yeah. Well, I think you're empathetic as well. So like you probably do absorb other people's energies. You know,
yeah.
As well, because I could watch and be like, nope, no way in hell I'd be on stage. You know, no matter if I liked singing or if I could sing.
Yeah.
What do you hope fans take away from the album?
I would hope that I hope they obviously enjoy the music. I hope that they understand that other people, like we were talking about, other people struggle with stuff too. That you're going to make it through. That there is always light at the end of the tunnel. That you know, that life is a good thing. It's a positive thing, and it's all what you make it. And the energy you put out is the energy you bring in. So I'm hoping that it will help people release their things and their burdens and their negativity and just, all right, I got rid of that because, God, this guy's worse off than I am. They're, you know, not really, but you know what I'm saying? I hope that they get like, you know, just feel like, all right, this is good because everybody struggles. Everybody has their hang-ups, and just continually, that's kind of the, like the tagline of my single Never Enough. It's like I'm doing the best that I can, you know. So it's like I want everybody to just try, man. Like this, just try. You're gonna get through it, and I mean it'll work out. So
now that you've released this catharticism, like, is there more left in the tank? Like, you know, do you have more struggles to write about? Because like sometimes I feel, you know,
absolutely, yeah, no, that will. If you even turn on the news for 5 seconds, I think, you know, I try not to even watch the news just because it's like I get bummed out, you know, just to have the state of our world, you know, just even everything that's going on in it, you know, and especially even in the States, we got a bunch of issues and it's a mess. And, you know, and then of course you got overseas, and I mean, it's just, there's stuff everywhere, and it just really bums me out. So I try not to watch that stuff too much. You know, because like you said, I am empathetic, and I'm like, oh, man, this world kind of sucks sometimes, you know, but you just try to make the best of it. You get it out. But like I said, like that song that we were just talking about that I'm pretty excited about people hearing, like I'm trying to consciously even change some of the lyrical content to where, hey, you're going to fail, you're going to have problems, but this is going to turn you into a better person, you know, type lyrics. So I think the next album may be a little more on the positive side, but it's still, I mean, it's going to still deal with struggle and things of that nature, of course. But
well, it's like as somebody who struggled with depression, I always remember those moments, and I don't like it. It doesn't define me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I've learned the lessons, and like I now go, wait a minute, that's a depressive thought. Nope, don't go down that rabbit hole.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and that's one of the things that even my therapist taught me years ago is that you'll never be able to conquer anxiety, but the goal is to shorten the height of the spike and the longevity of it, you know? So be like, crap. Okay, we're good. All right, you know, like instead of just being like, you know, so it's, you can do it. It takes practice to keep your mind in check. Call, you know, monkey mind, where it's just always running and running, but it can be done.
100%. What's in store for 2024 after Curse for the Commonwealth is released?
So I've actually started kind of working on an album, just basically laying the groundwork for it. It's going to be one that I'm going to record here at the house. It's going to be kind of like a little concept-ish cover album, really. I'm just going to call it the Bedroom Covers, because I'm just going to record it here at the house, and it's all going to be cover songs of bands that have influenced me in my songwriting and things of that nature. You know, bands like, you know, Descendants. Of course, there's punk bands on there, but there'll be acoustic covers. Descendants, you know, Counting Crows have been an influence.
What Counting Crows song will you cover? Can you share?
I was looking at probably doing a Long December.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And it's like right up my alley as far as like tempo wise and things like that. Because there's some of them, like especially the faster punk songs, some of those I want to slow down to where people are like, wait, okay, oh, there's the hook. I know what song this is, you know, to where they're kind of thinking. But a song like that, you can pretty much just play straight up and it's perfect, you know. So I don't know. There's a couple other, I would like to put about 10 songs on there. And I do want to release it. And I'm thinking about actually doing a cassette because like they're making a comeback and have like special packaging and all these things. And, you know, so that's kind of what I'm looking at doing, hopefully by summer of this year. So
like as a child of the 80s, I fully endorse cassettes,
you
know, and singles. Like those are like memories, core memories for me. Like there was
absolutely
getting the tape out, folding out the, you know,
insert. Or even the big CD books you carried in the car. It's like 200. Like people are worried about texting, and I'm like looking through a 200 CD booklet, you know.
And then the CD was never in the right spot either.
No, I tried to alphabetize them to try to make it better, but
same. So there's 3 questions we always ask in every interview. What artist or band do you feel is most underrated, and why?
Ooh, I saw this question. It's a tough one. Honestly, I'm going to give you a broad stroke here. There are so many Kentucky bands that are fantastic that don't really get the notoriety, just because we're not really, everybody knows us for bluegrass music and Americana, and that's what we get. But we have a great punk, hardcore metal scene here that's just like, some of the bands are top notch, and I think I'd put them up against any national touring band. I mean, I could give you a list of like 20 of them, you know what I mean? But just if you search up Kentucky music, you know, and try to find some underground Kentucky bands, and I'm telling you, we've got some awesome stuff going on over here. I'm pretty pumped about it. So
you'll have to send me that list so I can check them out.
I shall.
What artist or band would you like to collaborate with, and why?
Ooh, this is another one I thought about, because collaborating, I'm like, man, you know what? When you collaborate with somebody, you want them to maybe influence you musically, maybe not somebody even of the same genre. And this is going to sound really funny, and I'm not saying this just because you're in Australia, but Kid Leroy, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I mean, he's Australian, and this is going to make me sound really weird, but like a few years back, I was going through my last divorce. There won't be another, but like, but I was going through my last one, and like somehow got onto Kid Leroy, and I'm like, God, this guy knows everything about my life. Wonder how old he is. And I'm like, oh my God, he's like 16. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know, but like his lyrics were like spot on, and he just like really helped me get through that time. And I'm like, you know, this is kind of weird because the age gap, because I'm like going to be 43 here shortly. And then this dude's like singing about struggles. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like twice your age, but cool. But I mean, as far as like collaborating with him, like I actually took my oldest son because he likes him as well. And so I try not to say that too much because then it's not cool if dad likes it, you know. But like, but we actually went and saw him live, and he was in Lexington. And I mean, the dude can sing.
Yeah.
He's got a set of pipes on him. I mean, it's not just auto tuned or anything. Like he's a legitimate singer, performer, artist. And I'm like, man, I think he'd be really cool to collab with because he's going to give you a whole different view of genre, as well as I've heard him do just some acoustic stuff and sing over it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I think I'd probably be picking his brain more than anything, just like how far he's come in such a short time, you know.
When Post Malone did a show here a couple months ago, he came out and sang with him here in Sydney.
Yeah.
And I just saw video clips of it, and I was like, I knew he could sing.
Yeah.
It was one of those where I'm like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like,
and that's exactly how it was for me too, because like you hear the songs, and of course that genre typically overproduces and like really oversaturates the vocals. But this guy's up there just by himself dancing around. I mean, didn't have like backup dancers. I mean, he owned the whole stage, sang great, and I'm like, wow, this is freaking awesome. You know? So I mean, yeah, I think it'd be pretty neat. I think we could come up with something cool. Call me, Kid LeRoy.
I'll tag him in the video when I post and be like, FYI.
Yeah.
You never know. If you don't put that out there.
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. You got to ask the universe. So
that's right.
What artist or band would you like to tour with, and why?
So here's another one I tried to think about a lot, because the thing with being just like a singer-songwriter, and even being in a punk band, or any band for that matter, I've always been a huge fan of playing diverse bills. Like if I'm a punk band, I want to play with a bunch of hardcore bands, because I'm like, hey, this band was different, you know, but like they don't sound like these other bands on the whole rest of the bill. Yeah. So for me, that's always something that I kind of want to do. But if I was going to tour with somebody, I'd want them to be adjacent to where at least their fans would like me. And I'm going to probably have to go back with Counting Crows, you know, because I think it'd be a good match. Yeah. I think that their fans would be into me. And I think I could get a lot of information and knowledge from them as well. Because when it comes to that stuff, I just want to be a sponge and just like soak up the do's and don'ts and, you know, all of those things, because I think it's beneficial for you for sure.
I agree. And I think that helps. Cause like I interviewed a young band. They're not even 6 months old, you know, and they were all on time, and they were like, answering the questions, and then they would just stop. And I was like, it's okay to be nervous. I was just like, you know, I was like, that's fine. I was like, you're going to get questions. I was like, so just take a moment, pause, and answer it, you know, when you're comfortable. And they're like, oh, thank God. And I was just like, it's a learning curve. I was like, I suck at interviews, so we are learning this together.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great.
That's because my stomach has finally calmed down. I get nervous. But I listened to Mel Robbins' podcast, and she's like, that nervousness, she's like, just tell your body that you're excited, because it doesn't know the difference. And so I've been doing that, and it's true. The body doesn't know the difference. So it's just like, I'm excited, and it's like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good food for thought for sure.
Well, that's it. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just I think you can actually go to transcendentalrevolution.com, and you can actually pre-order the vinyl right now. Like I said, they'll be in beginning of May, but they are limited to only 100 copies.
Cool.
So, and it's on translucent yellow, so I'm pretty excited to see it. And I think it's going to look really, really cool. So
yellow's always a good album cover, like album color.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to see it on the turntable. So,
well, thank you for your time.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you so much.
Welcome.